traditional Margaret Woods sit on the dog exercise for a while, and let's say they're not as calm as you'd want them to be. Shana's pretty good. I'm actually hoping for some naughtiness today. And it's too cold to go find strange dogs. Not to be close up, but around. I do something that I call the modified version of a sit-on. It's not a sit-on the dog. It's modified to take some elements of sit-on the dog and add a reward and or correction part of it. But I wouldn't start out this way because if you started out this way, it would completely divert the whole purpose of sit on the dog, which is still an important first step. So I'm talking a long time, but I don't think I came up with this for Shana. For at least six months of passing up. This isn't the only thing we do. We don't do it every day at that time. We're not always able to get out around strange dogs. So if the e-collar was on her, as you can see she knows, which it's not, she would have been corrected for that. She was a little beyond that with her good friend Reggie, who she just barked at. Reggie's super respectful of her, so I have to throw treats across the room, very good ones, to get him to go. They're very good friends, they wrestle and play, but when Shana's on leash, or sometimes off, she's not above trying to boss her friends, or me, as you can see. So, if I see her start to do that again or give Reggie the stink eye and look back to me, that's when I'll correct her. Not correct her, that's when I'll reward her. I don't have anything on to correct her right now, because like I said, she's a bit beyond that with her exercise that we saw when she barked at Reggie. She knew right away that she hadn't done the right thing, so it's not really necessary to give her a correction for that anymore. The other thing I sometimes do, so sometimes if she's being good, I will time her for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes treat, 5 minutes, 10 minutes treat. So the down portion or the up and down portion of sit on the dog takes 30 minutes. And at that point, I can choose to do that for not responding to other dogs who might be annoying her by playing with a toy in the room that she likes, or while she's unable to play with it, and that sort of thing. I have to be careful my treats now are getting low, and I still need some to treat Shana. I could also, if I was earlier on in this, I might just be treating her for Reggie picking up the treat over there, and her not barking at him. Or playing with the toy and not barking at him. You get the idea. And the only reason I treat for non-barking, it's not that I don't want my dog Shana ever to bark, or feel free to tell dogs that they're being inappropriate, but there's no reason for her to do that now. And I don't want her to think that when a dog, a friend is far away, enjoying a toy or a treat, that she's at all wanted to be a bossy little girl at that point. So let's give her 5 minutes, and then from now, and then if we've had no barky bark bark, I will treat her. So my other dog, Boris, right here, is also her buddy or pal, but she's been with Boris since a baby puppy. He's one of the few dogs she will not go to, mostly go to trying to boss. She respects him. Even as he's getting older and losing his mobility, I've had to step up as curtailing her playing with him, not to be so rough, but she really respects Boris. She loves Reggie, she doesn't respect Reggie. And Reggie Well, he can also be the same way with other dogs for some reason, maybe because he was so young when he came here, respect Shana. So he's also not likely to boss her or react at her in certain situations. Boris does very friendly, or did very friendly when he had more strength puppy slap downs on occasion to put her in her place. So that's the other reason she respects him so much. I mean, not meanly or anything, just, you know, he was a good puppy raiser. Oh, good puppy raiser. He was raised by the best himself, Leon. Oh. So we're a little while from 5 minutes. So I'll talk a little bit. So the original sit on the dog, the one that Margot Woods created, and again, this isn't sit on the dog, this is a modification that uses some elements of Margot's. There's a great exercise. It's one in which you have the leash like this. It's not a command, it's more of a behavioral modification exercise, although it's a great foundation to obedience training. Wonderful. So you have a dog, you have the leash, you only make it enough room for them to lie down. You wait for them to lie down. So this is not the down command. You don't talk to your dog, you don't pay attention to your dog. You're doing something else. So this is why the modification that I only use after I've done Margot Wood's original one, because it's so valuable. And this does not in any way, shape, or form take away from it. It was just, Shana's 5 years old now, so there are elements that I can add to it now that she knows what to do in the original. Just to make, increase, she's a very anxious dog, more anxious than most. And so I want to create more of a feeling of impulse control and a feeling of that she's safe. And one of the ways for Shana to feel that way is food, thankfully. And so she's food driven. It's not the only thing that drives her, but she's definitely food driven, and food tends to calm her down. So those are the food and the rewarded things that when I do it later on with a dog that fear from Margot Wood's original attention. So once the dog has gone down on their own, without a command, without any attention from you, then your 30 minutes start in the original sit on the dog, or the only sit on the dog. And the dog can get up and down during those periods of time. It's not about a command, in other words, it's about seeing how your dog self-chills. So this is a pretty chilled out Shana. And Boris was also trained on this early on. So you can see I'm not doing sit on the dog, but this is kind of a default area where they feel safe. So there's a lot of reasons for doing sit on the dog, being they can chill, they can relax, that when you sit down, if you do this enough and often enough, your dog will automatically know, okay, it's quiet time, it's not playtime, which is incredibly valuable when you have a young, rambunctious dog, to be able to have those. And as long as you're exercising them and doing all the other things you need to do with them, then it's perfectly okay just to begin to want that and expect that. If you're not doing enough exercise and stuff, well, you need to. Dogs do need to be mentally and physically stimulated. Every breed. Some are lazier than others, but Dobermans are not a breed that you can't expect not to exercise or stimulate in any way, shape, or form. So they also, if they're a fearful dog, they get to view the surroundings from a safe distance where they can't do any harm. If it's an aggressive dog, same thing, they can act out. It's very non-confrontational with them. I could be bitten in this position with an aggressive dog, but I haven't been. Good. So that's good. So it's very non-confrontational, it's relaxing, it shows the dog this is our safe space. So other people, if other people want to come up and pet my dog, they're not allowed to do that. When I'm doing this, even though they're wondering what the heck I'm doing, I don't care. I know what I'm doing, and my dog does not need to be bothered during this exercise. It's for learning to relax, learning to chill, learning to take in their surroundings, know they're safe near their owner, on leash. And so it's very valuable that way. After, right before 30 minutes starts, I would stops. So the 5 minutes have gone by. So in my modified version done later on after doing sit on the dog. So my modified version only uses some elements of Margot Woods. Again, not because there's anything at all wrong with Margot Woods, and not because I don't use Margot Woods' original idea. I definitely do. But with my more anxious dog later on in years, I found modifying it for that after getting where I could with Margot's was, in this case, a good idea. And I've done this with other dogs too, if I have the time. A lot of times we don't have that time to advance it to this stage. Unless someone's doing private lessons, because those are less expensive, you know, in order to do this, I would have to have a dog for months. We would have wanted to get past the Margot Woods stage 1, and the dog would be very behaviorally challenged if we did have to do this or want to do this. So, good girl. Yes. And my baby boy Boris is retired and spoiled, so yes. All right. So in another 5 minutes, I'll do the same. So I'm going to throw some treats out to encourage Reggie, Shana's very good friend, to come close, but who she doesn't mind trying to boss. If he's doing something she can't do, for instance, while she's on leash, even if it's from far. So see, her attention immediately went to me. That's what I want. Don't worry about what Reggie's doing. She never worries about what Boris. Well, sometimes she gets jealous that she can't do what Boris is doing, but she never tries to boss him. She'll try to boss me to let her go. Pray for her. So I do this also with Shana when there's a strange dog in the house that I want her to get used to. Sometimes we'll use the e-collar doing that. Sometimes we'll use the muzzle. Or if it was a strange dog and they were out, not in the crate, we would definitely use the muzzle just in case. It was a very friendly dog and decided to insert themselves in Shana's mouth. Happens, believe it or not, with friendly puppies. They have they haven't learned other doggy temperaments yet. And Shana is exceedingly cute, and when she's going around, she looks fun to play with. And she is for her friends, her good friends. She was, some of Shana's history, unfortunately, she was attacked when she was a very baby puppy during the fear period, and it's been a lot of work to recover from that. It's a good lesson to me to make sure my puppy's never in a position to be attacked like that, because it's not so bad if they're older. I mean, you obviously don't want your dog to be attacked ever, but if, like, say your dog's 1 year old and they've had a lot of socialization on other dogs, so in other words, they've had hundreds to thousands of opportunities to see most dogs are safe, it's not such a problem. But if your dog is young and one of their first 100 interactions or less is a dog strikes them on the face, and it was hard, it didn't require much medical care, but startling for a baby puppy, and it was scary. Then you've created a trauma situation during a time that they're going through their fear period, and they don't tend to forget it. You can take me and Shana's word for it. Not without a lot of help. So, it took me there's many areas to Shana's training. It took me a couple of years to figure out the right blend. So that it happened, I was hoping that, just with my normal known training with Shana, that would fix it. But it did make her more controllable, but it didn't fix the behavior as far as lessening her anxiety around strange dogs. So then it probably took another 6-7 months to create a blend of training that does work for Shana. And then to make it more reliable that the progress was going on, probably took another 1.5 years to figure that out. So it's been a while. As a dog trainer, that's not easy to say, but and the circumstance I set up for is not easy to admit that you did to yourself and your dog either. But there it is, things happen. And I just continue working with Shana, make her feel less anxious when we're out, take notes of those things that do make her feel anxious. So obviously she doesn't look anxious to right here, and she's not. She's more in the and she's not in an incredibly bullying mode either, because Reggie is one of her best friends. I was hoping she'd give a little bit more. So next time we have a new dog in for board and train who's in the crate, I'll probably set up this demo again to show you what the modified version looks like in full with Shana around other dogs. Because I think it's a very helpful thing to do once you've done a lot of training. Yeah, it's an additional different thing that you can do. It doesn't take the place of anything else. It's just additional, different, and you've already set up the rules for something else prior to this, and you need a little more. And this isn't something I would do with a dog that didn't have the serious behavioral problems going forward, because those dogs don't need it. Probably other trainers might think that this dog doesn't need it, but it's the way I've decided to, one of the ways I've decided to go forward with her, and one of the ways I've seen the most improvement with Shana going forward. So I'm always looking to improve Shana, not to prove that something's right or wrong. There are many methods in dog training and ways to work with your dog. So you want to see what is being effective, which does not mean we've gone into a whole rant with me right here, which does not mean that if a method isn't working for you right away, that method won't work for you. A lot of methods take a lot of practice and skill and knowing what you're doing first. So this is why it's so confusing out there. There are so many methods, because there are so many ways to help a dog. And every dog has a completely different personality than another dog. So the way I train Forrest, much different than the way Shana. The way I trained my previous working dog, Leon, much different than Shana or Boris. The way I trained Jackie went into competition obedience with me, different than them. Probably not the best. Jackie I probably made a whole bunch of mistakes with too, but we got there. And so you learn by observing what you're doing with your dog over a period of time, whether the improvements are what you want, or sometimes, like with Shana's case, the improvements came, she improved a lot, and then you're like, but I hit a plateau, and I want to go beyond that plateau in different ways. So with Shana, I do trick training, I do obedience training, I do fetch and retrieve training, I put her to work in the home helping me with stuff. I've started pack walks with her. When I'm training different dogs who also need a pack walk. There are a lot of things going on with Shana's training, more than other dogs do, from my experience with Shana, observing her, wanting to make her ultimately happy, of course. It's not just about me or other dogs. It's also about Shana and what makes her happy. So in order to get all those things going, and you know, it's incredibly, Shana has a stressful life because she works in a dog trainer's home, or she lives in a dog trainer. She also works quite a bit. I mean, most of my skills I get are from working with my dog Shana every day. And I can sometimes demo what I mean with they come in with Shana in front of someone and a strange dog, although she'll have her muzzle on at that point, just in case, because I don't completely trust her to keep her entire impulses under control, although as time goes on, the more I know what situations I can trust and how far I can trust her and what things I can't trust her with. So just by working with her and getting the improvements, I'm happy with that progress, just as long as the improvements keep going. You can't really, you know, I've heard even the best trainers, like, that I think are the best trainers, like Mike Ellis, say, you know, there are some things you're not going to control. So I'm not going to control whether Shana likes other dogs ever that are strange. That's not within my control. That's within Shana's control. All I can do is make sure that she feels comfortable. She trusts me around other dogs to see to her welfare. It might be that she becomes controllable around other dogs, but just still doesn't like them. Maybe she just ignores them. It could be that she's just not going to feel comfortable enough to really ignore another dog beside her that she does not know. That's entirely possible. She could be more improved, she could be more controllable, but if I were to walk away from her at that point, the game might be on. So there are many options that can come forward, and I can't count on the fact that Shana will, you know, just decide one day. I mean, clearly I can't. It's been a few years. She likes other dogs, but that may still happen. Given the improvement that keeps happening, maybe it will, maybe it won't. All I'm striving for is improvement with Shana, improvement in her life so she feels more safe and secure. You can tell when she's nervous, so I'll see if later on I might be able to capture a part of her tape that I haven't seen yet, where she's working around a strange dog and her nemesis Lucy happens to be in a crate next door, and that's Shana being nervous, clearly. As opposed to, she's not nervous here at all. It's all her friends in the room. But she can still be a brat, and we don't want her to be a brat either, but we don't, you know, the goal's been, so sometimes she would, when she first met Reggie, she was nervous. Reggie, they weren't instant friends, she was nervous around him. And so actually I would do stuff around Reggie, and that actually opened the door to her to decide, hey, this dog's not so bad, maybe I'll be friends, which was good because Reggie became a standing daycare member twice a week, and now Shana's got a new buddy that she trusts to wrestle and play with, and that makes her life better. A lot of times, Shana, you know, she likes to play, but it's not her with another dog, but it's not her number one favorite thing to do. She likes to interact with other people. That's her number one favorite thing to do. But it certainly enriches her life that she's able to have friends, and when she wants to play with them, and be able to communicate in a safe and constructive way with them. Good girl, Shana. Yes. I'm sure it's been fun, yeah. So, we're almost at 30 minutes, probably 5 minutes more. So this, eventually, when I'm around a strange dog, and sometimes it happens now, because she feels most comfortable if they're on leash or in their crate. Now, she used to get nervous about that, but not so much anymore, unless her nemesis Lucy is around, and then she does. So I know that. I know I can usually take her out and demo her without a muzzle, as long as she's on a leash and another dog's on a leash. and not lunging at her or creating havoc, which has been a big, lovely change for both of us. Because I like to spend as much time as I can with my dog, so it's lovely when I can involve her in more things, and lovely for her too. She's not a couch potato. She gets very destructive if she hasn't been worked. Much more accommodating when she just heard her brother over there barking, Tommy. So if she's mentally and physically stimulated, she's a much easier dog to have around everyone. If she's not mentally and physically stimulating, like I said, she'll get very destructive with toys and other things you don't want her to destroy. But if you work with her every day, and I don't have to work with her obscene amount of time a day, like a half an hour, 15 minutes, you see, and I do more, of course. But you know, if I have a day where I'm pressed for time, if I do a really good training session that's active in play and walks and such, you know, I don't have to worry as much that she's going to go on a search and destroy mission. She likes books, especially, to eat, toilet paper rolls, that sort of thing. So, and we don't, obviously, you know, there are all sorts of chemicals and those things. We don't want her to do that. And we don't want her to feel so frustrated that she has to do that. So it's important to, in addition to everything else, make sure Shana is happy and contented and we are doing the things that she enjoys during the day. And like I said, sometimes it's playing with other dogs, but most times it's working with us at something. So I have her pick up the toys in the yard and fetch them to a certain place. Still working on getting her to drop them into a bucket. That's a little finesse that's needed in those. Putting away the laundry or helping me put away the laundry. So she gets the clothes from the basket and brings them to me. I fold them up and put them where they belong or hang them where they belong. And we can do that for half an hour. Sometimes without the toy being given until the end of the half an hour. I almost always reward her for that sort of work at the end. My goal is always to expand the time that she can do the work for, and then you know, we go and do something fun when we're all done. Sometimes if it's new and she's just learning, we might do it after every single repetition of whatever that is. Because, like for sticks, for instance, I like to get her to round up the stray sticks. There's way too much in our woods for us to do alone, but it's a good exercise. We get rid of some of them. But when I started that, she didn't like the taste of the sticks. Go figure, a dog that's not too into sticks. So in order to have her able to fetch those and bring those to me instead of spitting them out, I would have to you know, play with her toy afterwards, or I wanted to, that's the way I wanted to train her, play with her toy afterwards. You'd get psyched to get the stick, because stick equals toy now, so we built a little bridge there, and so now she can do a bunch of sticks. So it's funny, sometimes in the woods she'll go off and bring me a stick, you know, and she doesn't necessarily get rewarded for that per se, but you can see she understands that with her work comes the rewards for that, and that's very valuable to her. Shana, okay. All right. Well, now Shana's probably going to go play with Reggie. Okay. That was a very boring demo. So I might just use a clip of this one and post the whole thing to show you what it looks like when Shana is more stressed and anxious than she is, and how that's working for her. And I'll have to see if I can pull up a video of how she was several years ago in these same situations, because it's a pretty good difference, and shows how her behavior has changed. So I can't get her to like things, but I can change the circumstances so she enjoys where she is more. And then that may lead the path, or does lead the path, to Shana liking things more. You know, she doesn't want her toy though, she wants the treat. She's gonna go get it again. Nope. I haven't given her the command to get it, so that was just. So you can see that she will, there we go. She's like, equals treat. Nope, sorry, I didn't ask for it. So I have very specific rules about work and obedience. If I haven't asked for it, you don't get treated for it. We could play it if you wanted to. Let's see, I know she's interested in the treat because she's peering around the corner. She's not immediately going to get it. So this shows you how, this is kind of, imagine this is a stick or a piece of laundry. That's how that's worked. So I'll give her a treat now so you can see. I've asked for it now, so she's deserving a treat. Yes. But that wasn't much of a stress for Shana because clearly she's interested in the treat. I mean, you want her to be interested in the treat when you're doing that, or the toy, obviously. But you want it for the purposes of giving her a specific command, not just her doing it when she wants to.